All right, we live. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Welcome back to the channel. And today's topic, as you guys can see, is about the fatherless crisis we have in America. It's getting worse and worse every single year. As a father, this is dear to me. This is something that definitely speaks to me. I have openly spoken about this on other platforms, how being a father is so important. And having the privilege to be a father, I definitely can speak on that. So today's topic is going to be covering this crisis, right? So, like I said earlier, this is something that's very dear to me. I love talking about this because one, I grew up with a very loving father, and as a father myself, I bring so much experience, so much wisdom, I believe, to people who want to be fathers or who are struggling to be fathers, or maybe don't know anything about being a father, or maybe are fatherless themselves. And what we want to talk about today is, does having an engaged father make a measurable difference in a child's life? Off the bat, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to provide some data that's going to back that up. And according to the America First Policy Institute, again, the answer is yes. They argue that America is experiencing a fatherlessness crisis that affects nearly every major social issue. So, if you don't believe that, you're about to find out. I am a man of data. I love providing data when I make any kind of argument or any kind of statement. And today is no different. So bear with me. I will be reading some stuff. I will be going over some stuff. And again, just to back up what I said. So before I begin into anything, I'm not bashing anybody. I'm not bashing women. I'm not bashing men. I am just bringing up the issue. I have my own opinions on that as to what contributes to that. But I do want to first report these stats. I want to let you know what's going on. What is this crisis that we're talking about? So you can see what I'm saying. So right now, 1 in 4 kids is living without a father at home. And the US has one of the highest rates of children in a single parent household. How is this possible that one of the most powerful countries in the world has this issue? This is about 25% of children are fatherless. And kids who are growing up without fathers are reporting, obviously, experience higher rates of poverty. Their discipline is how do I say it? They need to be disciplined more. They have behavioral issues, they have substance abuse issues, they experience homelessness, and they also experience mental health challenges. Anybody who is going for this or has ever experienced any of these things can definitely tell you that these are things that are not good for anybody. It is no surprise to see that, at least here in California, specifically in Los Angeles, we have a higher homelessness rate, more people with substance abuse. Do you see the correlation here? It's connected. So if you're somebody who was like, well, I don't care, I'm not a dad, or I'm a dad and I'm doing my job, well, it affects the entire society, right? And I'm going to give you guys some tips as to how you can help these people. Or if you want to help, if you feel inclined to help, then this will, guide you to be able to do that. So according to the article, it says those numbers are alarming, but it's also important to remember that many of these outcomes are influenced by multiple factors, including income, education, neighborhood conditions, and family stability. Correlation doesn't necessarily mean doesn't necessarily prove causation. So The article is arguing that, yes, we do have these things happening, but it's not necessarily a cause of the rise in fatherlessness homes. I will argue that it is. It is a direct correlation because if those numbers are increasing and we have more people on the street, then you can definitely make the connection. All right. So why do fathers matter? Aside from the fact that people are ending up homeless and are losing opportunities, are getting in trouble more. One is emotional stability. As a man who grew up with a father present in the home, I can definitely speak to that. My dad always made it clear, was always present, not just physically and financially, but that emotional support. And I grew up with a stoic Mexican man for a father, but even then, he was able to provide this stability. Instilling confidence in a young man is so important, really, in a girl too, but I can't speak for a girl, even though I do have a girl for a daughter. But my experience as a man, I mean, that did everything for me. Being a young boy and having a father believe in you does wonders to the confidence. Also, discipline and accountability. I can't stress that enough. My dad was definitely one to instill discipline in the household. He was the commander in chief without question. You did not question him, and he ensured that you were going to be accountable for your actions. Let me give you an example. My father, the way he held us accountable in the household is he gave us an allowance, right? But we had to earn it through our grades. I remember there was a specific story where or time where I failed the class. I think it was seventh grade. And, I could have made all the excuses I wanted to. It didn't matter. Grades came in. Dad saw the report card and he said, all right, well, since you got an F, you're no longer going to get allowances until I say so. Something so simple like that, right? Made the slightest difference. I knew there and then that I had to earn things. And that mindset I continued to use until now. And I apply that as a father now. Earning things and being accountable and disciplining your children in a positive way is crucial. Again, I say for a young boy because I was a young boy at one point. And young boys are falling behind. Young women are out earning us. They are outperforming us in pretty much every possible way. So I think boys really suffer more than girls. Girls are able to overcome, I believe so. These absent homes, although they do have other issues, they're able to overcome them. The males, not so much. I've seen a lot of men who have zero confidence, very insecure. They have anxiety. They have all kinds of issues, emotional issues, because the father either wasn't present in the household, or if he was there, he wasn't there emotionally. And that makes a huge difference again, in a boy's life. Okay. The obvious one is positive role models. Again, I can count in my hand how many of those I had, my father being one of them. And it made such a difference seeing my dad be in a household. Even though my dad worked 14 hours a day, he still made the efforts to do things with us on his days off. One of my buds, he said, 90% of being a father is just showing up. And I agree. Going to the games, going to the conferences, going to events, that matters to a kid. If you don't have that, then the message that you're getting at home is that you don't matter, that people don't care about you. Going to make a huge difference in your life. It also informs your identity as a man. Who are you culturally? What are your values? What do you believe in? How are you going to raise a family? How are you going to lead a family? If you don't have a father to show you that, how can you expect a man to be able to do this? Hence why today we have so many men who can't lead, who are in households with women who are asking more of them, but they're not able to contribute because they don't have the capacity, because they don't have a father to guide them. And lastly, protection and guidance. The obvious one, right? You're a little kid, you want somebody to look up to, Superman. You want someone to guide you. You're going through a tough time. Who are you going to go to? Don't have a dad. Who are you going to talk to? Right? And the article says, research over many years has generally found that children benefit from consistent, supportive parenting. When fathers are actively involved, many families experience positive outcomes, but the quality of parenting matters as much as the family structure itself. Very true. So again, you can have a dad at home, but if he's not present emotionally, then it's almost like you're not even having him, which is a huge, huge deal in my mind. Okay. So this raises a question. Have we normalized the absence of fathers? Is this something that we've done? And in my previous episode, I talked about baby mamas and baby daddies, right? And how people are celebrating this freedom of being able to be whatever, being able to do whatever they want and being able to be with whoever they want. But this has consequences on kids. If you're going to be somebody who is just going to be making kids and not raising them, those kids are going to suffer because of your choices. So instead of asking, where are the fathers? We often avoid the conversation altogether. First thing to talk about is divorce. I'm correct. I believe we're at 50%. Although those numbers are skewed because I believe a lot of those people are those who remarry more than once. And my question is, why are you marrying more than once? If you failed once, don't do it again, especially if you have kids. Just don't do it. My personal opinion. And of course, we talked about this last time, unplanned pregnancies. Look, it happens. I get it. That doesn't make an excuse as to why you can't be a father. You still have to show up as a man. And if the woman is making it difficult, get the court involved. I get it. Sometimes these courts favor the woman, but still, you have to exhaust resources. If you brought a life into this world, you have to take care of it, in my opinion. Zero excuses. You got in there, you went all the way, knew the consequences, take care of your seat. And again, because some of these guys who are bringing kids into this world and did not have the guidance, the values, they don't know how to be dads. So they're creating kids, they are creating children, but they don't know how to be dads. And that is an issue. There's also guys who cannot handle the pressure of being a father, the economic pressure. As things get more and more expensive in this country, some guys just bail. They can't do it. They break. Something else to consider. If you're going to be a dad, your finances, it better be right. And if you're not, you better figure it out. Cut your losses. That lifestyle that you had before you had kids, you got to cut it. And the importance of fathers staying engaged when parents are not together. I personally know dudes who don't do this. And you can see the effect on the kids. It sucks. It is awful. It is terrible. And these men will make all kinds of excuses. Well, the woman is not letting me do it. She is not letting me see the kids. I don't care, dude. Do your job. You are a man. You are a father. Take care of your seed. No excuses. Get it done. So I know it sounds like I'm blaming dads or poor decision making, but instead of blaming people, let's focus on encouraging responsible fatherhood. How do we do that? How do we ensure that men can become good dads? Look, I'm a lot of things, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but this is one thing that I do very, very well. I've always wanted to be a father since I can remember. I had a great dad. And although my dad's uprising, or how do I say it? Is man, I lost the word. Anywho, the way he was raised by his own dad was not the same the way I was raised. And he made that very clear. One of the things my dad always told us when we were kids is you can do anything. And don't let anybody tell you can't do something. And being an immigrant and being a son of immigrants, also letting us know that we are American citizens of this country, regardless of what anybody says. So again, instilling that confidence in me since I was a little boy, I could go into any space and feel confident that I belonged. And again, he did not have the best example. And I don't blame my grandfather. I mean, he didn't have his dad around, so it takes one person to break that cycle. And he did. So now, because of him, there is now going to be generational changes. I learned how to love because of my dad. Right? So thank you very much for that. So we gotta teach men to create healthy marriages and stable relationships where possible. Right? Exemplify. Look, we're not perfect. I'm not saying I have the best relationship and I'm the example of what a man should be, because I have my issues as well. But look, I'm intentional. Been in the same relationship for 12 years. And I think that's important. Continuity, being intentional, directing your woman, your kids, especially in tough situations, especially when they need you. That comes with being a man. Again, a lot of you guys want to be the man. You want to be able to lead men and do whatever you need to do. However, when things get tough, are you willing to do that? Can you do that? Because that's when it matters. And a lot of dudes can't do that. They're not equipped to do that because of the way they were raised. Right? We can also invest in parenting education. Man, This is so crucial because a lot of us, what we're doing is mirroring, excuse me, y'all, excuse me, what we saw with our parents. So you might not even know you're doing it wrong. You might think, well, that's how my dad did it. Therefore, I'm doing it the same way. And you have no idea you're doing it wrong the whole time. And I know this can be very, very touchy, and nobody wants to be told how to parent. But look, if you are a person who's constantly getting into issues with people or just has all kinds of enemies or problems, you need to reflect and you'll need a reality check because that is not okay. And your kids are going to see that. Whatever you're doing, your kids are going to mirror it. They're going to look at you and think that is the correct way. Kids are sponges. So if you think that, I don't know, whatever habits you have are okay, I'm not here to judge them. Look, I'm not. But society is going to do that. And when they do that, who are they going to blame? So you are setting up your kids for failure or for success. That's on you. So the article says the goal isn't to shame single parents. It is to encourage more children to have caring, responsible adults in their lives, including fathers whenever possible. I would say especially fathers. So to close it out, this conversation is not just about fatherhood. And it doesn't belong to just one political party. This goes across. This is not even a political issue, as a matter of fact. Right? This goes across colors, race, religion, ethnicities, cultures. Doesn't matter. Although certain cultures and certain races do have higher rates, and you can look that up, right? Because that is controversial in itself. But I'll tell you this, the economics, right? Those who have the least amount of single parent households have the highest income. And those who have the lowest income. And that's obvious, right? So this also affects that, which then affects poverty, which then affects crime, right? And I'm going to give you some quick statistics. Okay, just some quick stats. Just so you guys can see how this is a problem. Okay. The data suggests that 84% of homeless families are headed by women, and 90% of homeless and runaway children come from fatherless homes. 63% youth suicides from fatherless homes. 85% of children who exhibit behavior disorders are from fatherless homes. 70% of juveniles in state-operated institutions come from single-parent homes. In a study of 56 school shootings, only 10 of those shooters, 80%, were raised in a stable home with both biological parents. 82% grew up in an unstable family environment or grew up with both biological parents together. Girls who feel closeness to their fathers are 75% less likely to have a teen birth. That is so crucial. And there's a ton more stats that you guys can look up. It's everywhere. But essentially, all the crime, all the bad things in society can be linked to having a fatherless home. And again, I'm not here to blame fathers or blame women. Look, all these cases are case by case situations. But if you are a man who has kids and are listening to this and are thinking about bailing out on your family, or are having issues with the mom of your children, if it is repairable, please repair it. You're not just helping out those kids, you're helping out the entire society. And that's why this is so crucial. If you solve this issue, you are solving so many problems in society. And why are we not talking about this as a society? We talk about politics, we talk about racism, we talk about all kinds of other stuff, but not this. What is causing it? Why are we not being good dads as a whole? All right. So, what do you think? Does America have a fatherhood crisis? Are fathers undervalued in today's culture? And what role should communities and families and government play? So, thank you very much, y'all, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Share. And also, if you want to contribute to the channel financially, I do have a QR code at the end of the video, or it's in any of my videos, you'll see it. But if you want to and you don't see it, you can always hit me up on X. If you want to have a live on this, if you want to further discuss the topic, I am totally open to it. Just let me know. But again, thank you very much for supporting the channel. On to the next one, y'all. Peace out.